Can you hear me?
Hold it in your hand.
I'll pick it up, shall I? Right. Hello, my name's Jacqui Berry. I'm a nurse. I was going to say sorry, but I'm not sorry. I am quite political. And I work on an intensive care unit, which means that I look after the sickest of the sick patients, people whose bodies are totally dependent on life support. I also teach junior nurses and some quite senior doctors actually how to look after people who are in multi-organ failure. And while nobody ever became a nurse for the money, you might be interested to know that for this job I get £11 an hour. Working full-time, it would take me 536 years to buy what Philip Green, the former owner of British Home Stores, recently spent on one yacht. I did the maths. Now, in spite of that, I do genuinely enjoy a lot of things about my job. I enjoy injecting people without making them flinch. I enjoy taking a patient whose bowels are hanging out and slowly but surely closing that wound. I enjoy resuscitating somebody and then nursing them back to health. There are other things that I don't enjoy. It's not the faeces, you get used to that pretty early on. It's some of the things that we have to tell people. I don't enjoy having to tell people that if you don't stop eating sweets, then one of these days your leg ulcers are going to get so bad and your toes are going to fall off. I do enjoy that bit. I don't enjoy having to phone people up at 2 o'clock in the morning and say you need to get to the hospital because your son is dying. And outside of work, I do not enjoy, it gives me no pleasure to come to meetings like this and tell you that your healthcare is in grave danger and that it's very, very unlikely that your NHS will exist if you have another 5 years of Tory government. Now, I tell you this because I'm compelled to give you the truth. And I expect most of you here will already know that, especially after listening to my esteemed medical colleagues. But in my view, the truth is often best repeated. What we don't often talk about is why. Why do the Tories have such a problem with the NHS? And it's not just because they're nasty or mean or incompetent, although some of them may be all of those things. It's because that they pose a threat to the NHS because the NHS poses a threat to them. We each pay in what we can and we take out what we need. It is this very simple principle, this socialist principle, that is terrifying to the Tories, who are party of the rich and the powerful. There's an old quote, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. And I'm not going to make any apologies for standing up in Merton on a Monday night and quoting Karl Marx at you. Because actually, do you know what? It was NHS workers, it was health workers and campaigners who founded the NHS on the back of meetings just like this, taking place in town halls just like this, up and down the country, trying to put socialist ideas into practice. And it is that sort of movement that we are going to need if we are going to have a hope in hell's chance of saving it. Now, I'm not one of these people. This general election is very important, but I'm not one of these people that thinks that June the 8th is doomsday for the NHS. If we wake up to a Tory government on June the 9th, we will just have to keep on fighting. We'll have to fight against cuts, closures and privatisation in our communities. For NHS workers, we will need strike action over pay, not just the Royal College of Nursing, but all of us who have endured an age of pay restraint which has lasted longer than the Second World War. And it will take a coalescing of NHS campaigns and NHS workers at local level and also with another national demonstration, but this time with the full weight of the trade union leaders behind it, that will stop a weak and wobbly government in its tracks. On the other hand, we might wake up to a Labour government, and while personally I'm a very big fan of Jeremy Corbyn, I know that there are some MPs in his party who are not. So we as a movement need to make sure that we send a very clear, every single Labour MP who goes into that house feeling our hot breath down the back of their necks, sending them a very clear message that we will not accept anything less than a fully funded, publicly owned, publicly provided national health and social care.